What's going on, Husker Nation? Welcome back in. Today we are previewing the quarterbacks. Now, Nebraska obviously has Dylan Raiola coming back. Now, Dylan last season, for a true freshman, we kind of saw some ups and some downs. But the good thing is when he was having those downs in the middle of the year, we saw him climb out of it. He didn't continue to fall down. He had like a 3-game stretch where he really struggled. But generally speaking, outside those 3 games, I thought he performed very well last season as a true freshman. And you have to take into consideration his last name. His dad's name is on the stadium. He's a 5-star, #1 overall player in the country. His uncle is the offensive line coach. He came in knowing he has high expectations. He came in knowing and probably feeling a little bit too like the weight of Husker Nation was on his back. That's a lot of pressure for an 18, 19-year-old kid. And I think he handled it admirably. He spoke well at the podium. He's accountable. He never took put blame on anybody else. Very responsible, carries himself very well. You have to like what you're seeing right now from Dylan Raiola on and off the field. Year 2 is going to be a big step for Dylan. Last season, a combination of, quite frankly, really poor play calling, really poor route concepts within the play calling, not a great offensive coordinator that you trusted a lot, and quite frankly, receivers outside of Ja'Cory Barney and your tight ends, even Thomas Fodoni played very well last season, I think. But outside of 1 or 2 guys, your receiver play was not great. Nayor was not what we thought he was. Jamal Banks was solid. Couldn't beat man coverage. Same thing with Isaiah Nayor. So we saw some issues that, yes, were at fault of Dylan, but we saw a lot of issues with wide receiver play. Really bad route running. Not consistently catching the ball, Isaiah Nayor. So what steps does he take going into year 2? We saw a handful of issues on deep passes last year, if you recall. A lot of times, and it almost seemed like it was by design, maybe. If you think back, like that Purdue game in particular, a lot of balls were underthrown, and then it causes the receiver to come back to make a play on the ball, running into the defensive back, and you get a pass interference. Part of that, I think, was really by design because those receivers couldn't beat man coverage. So what does Nebraska do? They reload. They go out and they get Dane Key. They go out and get an Isaiah Hunter. They have Ja'Cory Barney coming back. They have Cortez Mills, Isaiah Mosey coming in as true freshman, which, by the way, yes, unproven, very high ceiling. Also, keep in mind Coach Dana Holgerson's comments last week. He said Cortez Mills and Isaiah Mosey are the 2 best receivers in man-to-man coverage. They're the ones that are consistently beating the defensive back across from them. So we're kind of spiraling to wide receiver play. But wide receiver play was so big last year, and the reason why Nebraska probably was less successful than they should have been. They probably left at least 1 to 3 games out on the table last season that they should have won. Wide receiver play is a big part of that. So Dylan Raiola, the steps he needs to take: deep ball accuracy. You've got guys that can beat man coverage. We're looking to see that improve going into year 2. And from what we're hearing in spring ball, Dylan is playing at an extremely high level. The other thing that I really, and Justin and I have talked about, I really want Dylan to do, and it's been talked about at press conferences as well. When you're sitting in the pocket, your receivers are covered, and there's yards in front of you, take the yards. Every single time. Take off and run. We're not asking Dylan Raiola to be Eric Crouch, to be Lamar Jackson when he runs the ball. What we're asking him to do is take the 3 yards and keep the chains moving. That's the goal. Keep the chains moving and score points. It's better to do that than fire the ball in there and take a risk at an interception, a deflection that pops in the air and gets intercepted, or an incompletion. And then the ball doesn't move. Just take those 3 yards and go. Get down, get the first down. So what has he done in spring to do that? Well, if you've seen the clips that came out on, what was that? Yesterday. Oh, no, it's Tuesday today. This video will be out Wednesday. So they came out Sunday, I believe, from the scrimmage on Saturday. If you watch one of those clips, what does he do? He pulls the ball down. He takes off for about 15 yards and scores a touchdown. Be comfortable running the ball. You don't have to do it 10 times a game. Hell, Dylan, you only got to do it 2 or 3 times a game. That defense is going to have to respect your legs a little bit more. So we want to see him improve that aspect. I also would like to see Dylan be willing to take more shots, I guess, down the field. It seemed like there was not a lot of deep shots last year until Dana Holgorsen came in. I think, and based on what we're hearing, Nebraska is going to have a substantially better passing offense. They're going to pepper it short, and then they're going to take their deep shots. They've got some guys that can take the top off of a defense. Now, in the event that Nebraska needs to go to a backup quarterback, who do they go to? There's 2 quarterbacks right now. Actually, well, all 3 are playing very low at a high level. But there's 2 that are kind of standing out as the very likely backup options to Dylan Raiola. One of them we've already talked about a handful of times, Jaylen Gramstad, the NAIA Heisman winner. He won a national title at his previous NAIA school at Northwestern, and he lost one as well. He's a very athletic, undersized quarterback. Now, Jaylen's not going to come out and light the world on fire if he has to come in, but his athletic ability will allow Nebraska to do some things differently on offense. Jaylen played safety his first year at his previous school. He's not afraid to take a hit because he damn sure was laying the hits when he was playing safety. He gives Nebraska, in the event he has to play, an option with the quarterback run game. You could see them do some different things. He's very accurate in the short game. He's very accurate in the intermediate game. He doesn't have an overly strong arm. You'd probably see that part of Nebraska's game not be as prevalent if Jaylen had to play. They wouldn't take as many deep shots, but the QB run game would probably be more of a factor. Jaylen is a solid option. Don't get it twisted. NAIA is not Division I, and there is no experience for him at the Division I level right now. There is a reason why Nebraska wanted him to come back. There is a reason Dylan said he needed him to come back. He's a good player. He wants to be a coach someday. He speaks of big dreams like going to the NFL. Whether or not that's a possibility, I don't know. But he has goals. He's driven. He's a very talented player. The other person we're hearing a lot about is Marcos Davilla, the former consensus four-star quarterback, played at Purdue last season. They ran the air raid system at Purdue. He was being recruited out of high school also by Dana Holgorsen at Houston, where they ran the air raid. There is comfortability between Marcos and Dana. He kind of already knew at least kind of the passing concepts, at least of his system, because his coach at his previous school was from the Mike Leach, Dana Holgorsen style coaching tree. Now, Marcos Davilla is a very big, very strong arm quarterback. Very similar game to Dylan Raiola. He's 6'3", 6'4". He's a little bit bigger. He's probably about 235, 240 pounds. He's kind of mobile as well, but he's got a big arm. And the things we've heard about Marcos in spring ball is he's performing better than expected. He's picking up the offense very quickly. He's accurate on his deep ball. His intermediate passing game is really good. He's moving in the pocket very well. I think will surprise some people in the future at Nebraska. He has the potential to be Nebraska's starter once Dylan Raiola leaves. Now, that's at least 2 years away, which gives Marcos plenty of time to develop because he's a redshirt freshman this year. And in 2 years, he'd be a redshirt junior. The true freshman that Nebraska brought in, TJ Lateef. Very good. He's a little bit different in the sense I would compare him to more of like a Jaylen Gramstad in the sense that he's very accurate in short game, very accurate in intermediate game, feathers the ball very nicely, has good touch. The deep ball does need some work with TJ Lateef. He has better arm strength than Jaylen. He's also a little bit bigger. He's 6'2". He's probably 190 to 200 pounds right now. He early enrolled, so he's probably a little bit heavier than what he's actually listed at right now. TJ Lateef has good mobility. He's not going to be a guy that they have like a whole QB run game dedicated to, but I think his athletic ability is probably the best of the quarterbacks on the roster that actually have a chance at playing. I'm not knocking the walk-ons by any mean like Bodie Sokup or Luke Longfall, but TJ Lateef is going to be a solid option for Nebraska in the future. Now, he's not super fast, but he's definitely more athletic, quicker. He can get you those 5-6 yards on maybe like a QB read or a QB option or something like that, read option, speed option, stuff like that. He'll allow Nebraska to do some things differently on their offense. TJ Lateef has come ready to play, though. Because of who's ahead of him, Jaylen Gramstad, he's probably very likely not going to see the field for at least another year or two. And what I mean by another year or two, like those blowout games, like the games where you're up by like 30 points, those one is when I would see him on the field. You might see him on the field in a game against like Houston Christian if Nebraska does what they should do and be up by 30 at halftime. In the second half, you're rolling out TJ, Marcos, and Jaylen for a few series each. That would be the only instance I see him playing this year or even next year, really. But TJ is very good. He's an Elite 11 QB finalist. So is Marcos Davilla. So is Dylan Raiola. Nebraska has a damn good quarterback room. Not a lot of experience, but it's loaded with potential. We'll have more this week. We are starting our preview of the defense on Thursday, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for joining. Have a great one, everybody.